Hey guys, my name is Ben, and I am genuinely very excited and feel real privileged to be here. The last 2 years I've been attending Premier, and I've been sat where you are, and I've got so much from this conference, and it's nice to feel like I'm giving something back to it, and I'm looking forward to being a delegate again in the future, and who knows, if this goes well, maybe up here again as well. Today, we're going to be looking at developing your communication strategy. I'm going to be drawing on some examples from the church that I serve and work at, and also some aspects of my other areas of work as well, which we'll come into now. So my primary role, my day-to-day, Monday to Thursday, is I work for a charity called CPO, Christian Publishing and Outreach. Who here has heard of CPO, may I ask? Great, smashing of hands, fantastic. For those that don't know, it's a charity which formed in 1957 after three guys came to faith at a Billy Graham rally. They were tobacco salesmen, and they decided to use their skills in marketing and apply it to the church, which is really, really cool. And basically, they did a real Acts kind of lifestyle thing. They shared all their funds, bought a house in Worthing and a cow, because that's what you do in the 50s. And they started making posters and tracts and basically trying to bless the church and resource them with great communications. Fast forward all these years later, we have got a lovely team. There's about 40 of us. We do loads of print stuff so you can get off-the-shelf solutions like complete end-to-end. And the other spectrum of stuff, we've got a little innovation hub in Brighton where we're doing loads of cutting-edge design work, supporting the Church of England. Lots of great projects happening. So really across the church, there's a lot of things going on with CPO, and we'll be coming to that stuff in a little bit. I'm also the creative leader at a church called The Well in Sheffield, and I'll be talking about that. It's a really exciting place to be a part of. And I'm the founder of the Church Comms Collective. I've got a few fans from the group down here. Don't know if anybody else is in the Facebook group, don't wherever. Yes, look at this, fantastic. It's a Facebook group, and it's basically a place where church communicators can come together, share best practice, ask questions. It's a safe environment to do that. If that's of value to you, have a gander, make sure you fill out the questions, otherwise I won't approve you. Okay, so what is the first good rule of communication? For me, it's always been knowing your audience. That is the fundamental place we come to. The first thing we do before we consider any communication strategy, any approach, is knowing who you're actually doing that with. What is your church context? Whereabouts are you based? Who are the people that are likely to walk past your church today, tomorrow? Who are the people going to be driving past? What bus routes go past? The housing estates around where you are, or the businesses, what do they look like? These questions are absolutely, for me, foundational in terms of determining how you position your communications. Now, you're going to be from churches from all over the nation, and it's beautiful that we've descended here today in that capacity. You've got an individual story to tell. There are so many tips flying around this conference which we can embrace. The important thing is to hone them down and apply them to your unique story, what is unique about what's going on in your community, in your church. And that helps us point to who is the low-hanging fruit. Where do you actually reach people, and how can you do that as effective as possible? Within digital, there's so many opportunities, and there's also, important to say, a lot of opportunities within the print respect as well. Low-hanging fruit is simply the stuff which is there for the quick grabs. In what ways is your church serving communities? In which way can you let them know the purpose of your church, your vision, and actually how it's there to serve them? And these questions are all just fundamental in terms of starting out what your comm strategy looks like. And if you've got the time and if you've got the ability to actually take time out and just ask yourselves these questions, it's so important to do that in the very first instance. What do you need as well, if you're a church communicator, to be released to do what you do? So do you need, actually, if you're running an Instagram account for your church, have you got a process of sign-off? Is it really clear, in fact, actually how you can go about doing things and what your authority is? Make sure you have conversations with anybody you need to within your context so that you're able to really thrive and actually be able to do this stuff well. For me, I wouldn't be able to do what I do for The Well, for example, if I didn't actually have a clear framework and boundary for which I'm operating in. That's just a healthy conversation to have, saves misunderstandings, and when things don't go to plan, you can always say, well, this is what we agreed. So, I'm going to draw on some examples from my church in Sheffield, The Well, which is the one just poking out between the H and the E there. I took this photo on my drone last summer, and it was available until a short time ago on Unsplash, but then I suddenly realized it might get misused by other people who I don't particularly want to use this image for. So this is now just for us to use. The Well started 4 years ago. It was born out of a house group, about 40 people, and it's grown now in excess of 400, coming to 500 people. And God's been doing some amazing things there. And I'm not going to say that the communications has caused that growth in any means, but the communication has complemented and been vital to what's been going on within the church. So, branding. One of the most important things you can do from my perspective in the church plant was actually to make sure that we had a strong brand. Our church is located near university, near a lot of businesses. We've also got a very affluent area and quite a socially deprived area nearby. For us, it was really important for the church brand to sit well in its context. So a guy called Ben Hodges, who's a very skilled designer, a member of our church family, came up with this really simple brand, black and white, and just standard fonts. We've got Go Bold and Arial in bold. That's all it is. There's nothing more to it. It's just really simple, but a rule of thumb which we could then build on as the foundation for our brand. Black and white, easy peasy. Applying these things, this is our flyer that we give out on the street if we're doing street evangelism. On the back is the times of key events. We've got our hashtags that we use and a link to the website. We run a healing ministry, an example of it there in use, and this was the student flyer we did. It's just really simple, really clean, just trying to be as effective as we can be. Party time, our annual party. This is an example in the middle there of the reverse of one of our flyers. We recently tried a QR code just to see if it works. Why not? And actually, I've not got the full figures on that yet, but it looks like it was really actually very effective. On the back of all of our flyers, we have a map of where we are and a key and a core call to action. Applying the brand across to other stuff, our deeper school of ministry. Again, we've just taken the fonts and just applied key images and stuff. This is an example of it rolled out on our Instagram, a baptism post and a baptism story, and then in booklets. Now, booklets we actually found was an incredible part and a really key part to actually what we're doing. Why? With the growth of the church, it's really important for us to make sure that people were aware of the actual the message and the track we're going on, the culture that we're setting as a church. So with the one at the end there is like a nice sizable square booklet designed to feel like something you keep on your coffee table with your Bible, your scriptures and things. A place that people who are part of the church family can come back to as a reference point and actually feel that they're really a part of this movement and hold church leadership to account that they're doing the things that we said. It's designed to be really beautiful and it's designed to be something which is almost like a long-term partner in the process. That to us was really important in terms of the internal side of our comm strategy to make sure that people felt valued and wanted to journey with what we're doing. It's a good question to ask yourself, are the people within your church completely clear on the direction you're going on? Is there anything that you can do to actually bring them on that journey, that story with you? The same kind of design layout has been applied there to our giving flyers, and also we did a big building project over the summer, and that's an advert from a local magazine as well. So just trying to link all these things together. Now, this is an example of a campaign, really important thing. We've got Christmas coming up. It's an amazing opportunity to communicate to people. And this is going to be an example of an end-to-end kind of process. Everything coming back to the website and crucially asking all these new faces that are in your church for the first time, potentially, what are you putting on in January which you can tell people about at December, at Christmas, at the carols, or whatever else you're doing? For us, the personalization of the process and linking digital to actual physical interactions is really important. So this is a Christmas card that we hand-delivered to all of the businesses within probably about 500-meter radius of the building, so there's loads of pubs and cafes and stuff. And what was really heartwarming for me was to go into those places and see them with this Christmas card still up on the side piece in the local pub and things, and actually making people know that we're a church, we're here for this community, and we're a part of what's going on. This was the flyer that we gave out to let everybody know what's going on. And the reverse is all the key details. When I personally do my design, I always try to think about, is this something which people would be happy to put on their fridge and look kind of vaguely pretty? My wife is a good bouncing board for that kind of feedback. So that was something we tried to do. And the fonts as well, we've tried to simply apply same fonts, and we just got this cool red that we've used for the last 4 years at Christmas, and a blue at Easter, which I'll come to in a second. This is a 3-meter banner we put outside our church. Why do we bother doing that? We have loads and loads of natural footfall. We have buses going past and we have people walking past. Asking yourself the questions, who are the people that are going to see your building and your notice boards and things as they go past? And what's going to be important for them, actually, as they do that? Every year we make a point of putting it date specific because actually it's really important. It's worth the £80 investment for us to make sure that people don't have to scroll through and work out what the third Sunday is or necessarily go to a website link. We do put a website link on there because that is an important aspect for us. There'll be an example of the website things in a minute. Facebook banner, again, well, great opportunity to stick in the key dates and times on there. Our Instagram, we took time to really think about how to do Instagram well, and this is something which we try to do, particularly for key events and key seasons. We wanted to give a real story and involvement of the nativity story and actually link it into Sheffield. So we filmed people from the church actually reading scripture at different parts of the city, asking kids what Christmas meant to them around the wonder theme of Christmas. And a great way to interact with people, we actually use loads of hashtags about Sheffield itself, where the church is based, so that key locations and things, we do kind of a little mini kind of what's this place type thing and ask people that to try and build up dialogue. Hashtags, just to mention quickly now, later on as well, you have to really think about what are people going to be searching and what kind of things do you want to link people through to. So for us, for me, it's not about building the biggest Instagram in the world. It's about making an Instagram account which is known within Sheffield. So the hashtags that we use, I look for the street names around us, Ecclesall Road, Ecky Road, the city itself, Sheffield. We're really keen to connect with students, so we make sure we tag everything with Sheffield University and Hallam University. We'll tag the accounts, and we'll also do the hashtag itself. So think about where you're based. Have us to spend some time searching hashtags of where your church is and potential people you could reach through that. There might be content on there at times which is questionable, and well, fantastic, that's the role of the church. We're meant to be in those kind of places. So tagging things, it might come up beside some pictures you don't approve of, brilliant. That's where we want Jesus to be shining. This is a story from Instagram, another flyer, and a video I made with about 24 hours notice of my son finding his way from being lost underneath a bridge in the Peak District to the splendor of the church all lit up for Christmas, which was fantastic. And I shot that on an iPhone, which we'll come to in a minute. But here's the key thing, okay? Within digital, your website is the most important aspect of your communication strategy. It is absolutely critical. Social media platforms and preferences will come and go. Absolutely. In 10 years' time, we'll be looking at things totally different now. Not to say that Facebook's necessarily going to disappear and Instagram, but I guarantee they'll look pretty different to the way they do today. The idea is that your website, though, is a fundamentally place where people will just keep coming back to from whichever they've been pointed to. So it's really important to consider how is your website serving your church and making sure that it is. For the Christmas stuff as well, we do a nice scrolling page where everything is together and people can easily see what all the different events are and they can plug in and connect with that. Again, our Instagram, all our social, all of our print, our banners link to that central place. So a great tip around a key event is actually to make sure that you've actually got clear messaging. So when all these people see your flyer or what's going on, they're able actually to kind of go, okay, this is really clear, it's easy. I'll come to some more broader website examples in a bit. This is an example of Easter. I painstakingly took the time from an asset board I found from Photoshop to actually put all the flower pieces together to build that cross. It's the closest I'll ever come to being a florist in reality. But yeah, linking again all of the comms just so it's got a universal feel. Now, the church vision is really important, and it's something which sits absolutely alongside what you're doing with your church communication strategy. As well as asking your audience, who are these people trying to communicate to, the vision is vital so that you're really clear, actually, we're trying to do this, this, and this. If your church is specifically really trying to reach out and bless young families, okay, fantastic. Let's make sure that that is joined up. Asking yourself and being clear what as a church communicator, I'd hope you'd be really clear in what it is you're trying to achieve in that way. Investment, there seems to me to be three core factors when it comes to investment in church strategy. There's obviously the financial side of things, to pay for different products you might be using in print and things. There's the time that goes into it, either as a paid member of staff or a volunteer. And crucially, there's prayer. And for me, prayer is actually the most important aspect. We are fantastically privileged that there's no other organization really where we can come, we can pray, and we can actually ask God's hand in these things, and we can ask for the finances we need, and we can actually ask for the time we need to do things as well. And really coming to God and seeking him first in this is actually paramount for me. At CPO, we're just relaunching our websites today, and they'll all be absolutely looking splendid on Monday morning, once I've finished a couple more links on it. But one thing that we're really trying to be keen about in this space is making sure that there's resources there for people who've got questions about how to do their strategy really well. So the toolkit on the CPO site is going to be, it already is, but it's going to be even more so, a central hub. If you've got any ongoing questions or want to ask stuff, it's a place where hopefully you'll find what you need. And if you can't see what you need, ask the questions. We've either got people within our team or contacts that we can use to actually help you understand how to be most effective. Workflow. In terms of my workflow, I'm going to have a sip of water, excuse me. Understanding workflow, I think if you're a volunteer or if you're in a paid role, is really vital. Within church communications, right now, there's such an emphasis, and an important emphasis actually, on creating good content. There's the content creation, the management of it, the delivery, and then the actual kind of integration and interaction side of things. Those different elements are really important. So in workflow, it's considering what apps and things in a digital sense will make your life easy. So for example, a good place to centrally store things on a saved device. So there's free services out there like Dropbox and Google Drive, great apps like Connect, which is provided by WeTransfer. That's a really great way as a sounding board. You can save links from YouTube, from any different social network, and actual hardcore kind of finished printed items as well in one central place, and you can give teams a shared entry to that as well, so they can come on and actually find all the resources they need if you're doing this as part of a team. And then looking as well in terms of actually how you're delivering it. Are you going to use social media management software like Buffer and Hootsuite and Sprout Social? But actually taking time to consider what that looks like so that you know where you're starting from. You wouldn't drive a car without knowing the controls, and for me this is the same kind of thing. You're actually lining up what you're going to be using to be able to do your job really well. So one thing that I do is I gather content whenever I absolutely can. So we've got photos that have been taken from different people within the church. The picture down the bottom is some guys from the Good Christian Music blog came and shot a video with us. So we took screen grabs from that. Any opportunity to gather content that I can use at some point, down to the weather outside. I have got pictures of our church in every weather pretty much you can guess. We've got summer, we've got snow, we've got spring, we've got autumn, you name it, we've got it, which means if I'm ever away from the church, actually I can pretty much look at the BBC weather app, work out what the weather's going to be, know what time stuff was taken, and I've got some content that I can use. It sounds a bit crazy, I know, but you can actually do it to that degree if you want to. So actually, one of the wealth you have in your communications is saving stories from people, saving things, because you can always, like, God is good. You can draw on the stories which have gone before to inspire the people that are coming. The same with the visuals. Just make sure that you capture things as best you possibly can and utilize them. So we're going to go into some specific tips around stuff now. So website, really important. When people land on your website, they're going to make a decision in a matter of minutes about what it's actually saying to them. So clear welcome is really, really important. A good thing which a lot of churches do particularly well, I really like Vineyard in Nottingham doing a particularly good job at this, is what to expect. So actually taking people through a journey. What does it look like when they arrive? What does it look like when they walk through the lobby? And actually, what's actually a gathering and a service going to look like for them? It's really good, particularly when you're thinking about unchurched people who might be completely foreign to what that process looks like. Key times, it goes without saying, but sometimes it's not actually there. Make sure that people are aware of when the key events are, particularly thinking from an unchurched perspective, because the website is an outward-facing thing. What times will people be needing to be aware of? Location, again, wherever possible, integrate it with Google Maps and things, so it's really simple for people to be able to click through and get directions. You can even provide it within it. And calls to action. What is it that you want people to do when they come to your website? What is the activity? And then again, this is thinking about your audience. If we go back to the young families thing, the call to action might be actually to let them know about a great service you've got on for parents, guardians of toddlers. And actually that's the primary thing that you're trying to guide people to. And from that, your ministry is built. What are the things, the signposts that you can put? And don't oversaturate that. Keep it simple and keep it direct. Update often and don't settle. We have this thing sometimes where we think, oh, that's it, done and dusted. I can just let that be, that's the website done. That is really not the case. If you went to the gym because you wanted to tone up and everything, and as soon as you got the body that you're after, you can't expect to keep that if you go back to just eating macadamia all the time. It's literally you're looking at ways to keep it turning over. Keep adding content, keep trying to draw on people's stories, keep sharing, keep thinking, use the wealth of content that you're building up, and just try and keep it ticking over. Ideally, there'll be some kind of news item going on a monthly basis. And if you're able to do things like streaming and stuff, podcasts or anything like that of sermons and things, if you can put that content in, then great. Some of the stuff that Nona was saying this morning as well, like almost post-Sunday things, if you've got content which is going to complement what's going on in your church, and you've got the time to circulate that, the website is a great place to host it. Link, so any opportunities you can to link your website to things, like make sure it's there. So if you're doing any print work, if you're doing any digital work, make sure that it's really clear signposts that from those places, they're pointing into the website itself. So this is the question which I don't always get right. Like you, I am learning all the time and trying to continue to do so. I'm a student of this, just like everybody else. Social media, how would your social look if you had no events to promote? I would say that the greatest social media content that I've seen done by churches is relating around people's stories and actually bringing out what's really going on and actually lives transformed and journeys and things. If you can do that, that's absolutely amazing. Get consent from people. Make sure within the church itself, try and get opportunities to actually share that from the front or in newsletters. We're looking for people who might be willing to share a simple testimony, whatever it might be, but actually using those personal stories will really just elevate everybody else. When we share what God's been doing in our lives, it's so powerful. So let's smash out some Instagram tips. This is the feed as of the other day when I screenshotted our church Instagram. Stop the scroll. Everybody heard this term? Yeah, good lot of nodding going on. Stop the scroll, that is pretty much lingo right now going across the church communications world. That is what we're trying to do. We want people to stop scrolling as we all do this day, particularly on Instagram. And how can you do that? Well, there's lots of different ways. One of the ways isn't coordinated posting, I'll come to that in a second, but it's actually to think about what can you put on there to actually give people, what is this? This is a bit different. There was a rule of thumb, I'd say probably about a year ago, where you had to make sure your Instagram was really universal and on brand and everything looked absolutely beautiful. Personally, the strategy that I'm taking right now is actually that there is universal qualities and they complement each other, but actually I want things to look a bit different so people don't necessarily expect it to come from the well, and actually we want to stop people in their tracks and actually point people to what we're trying to say. Coordinated posting is a really interesting aspect. So if you've got a key event that you're trying to promote, let's say when your Christmas carol services, for example, you can let the rest of your team know, anyone else in the church for that matter, family, whatever. Just say, we're putting out a post today about the carol service being announced. When you like it, that means more people are going to see it. The algorithms are going to like it. So it'll be about 4 o'clock. Would you mind just doing that? Sending out a message, something along those lines. You know your people, you know your audience. But that can be a good way to actually trick the algorithm into thinking there's a lot going on. Using stories, great talk before mine about stories, making sure you utilize them. There's a real sense of authenticity when you do it on the fly and do it on the go, so opportunities throughout the week, just go for it. Location-specific hashtags, I said before, make sure you spend some time when you can just seeing what is going on in your area and how can you use them so that your church can be present in that respect. Tagging people, again, make sure that if you want to, if there's particular people actually involved in what the communication's about, making sure you tag them is really beneficial. If there's organizations you want to know about what you're doing, make sure you do the same there. And with churches, obviously we're trying to build communities. We're trying to give people a real sense of value. If you've got the time, it's so awesome when someone follows you just to drop them a DM and just say, hey man, whatever, really happy, really delighted that you've joined and you're following our page. Is there anything we can help you out with? What's up with you? What's your venture like? There's a really good app that I use called Plan. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that. Plan is a free app for one profile. It's actually a really great little app because it allows you to actually upload your content onto that and you can physically move it around and plan your Instagram grid, which is just fantastic. If you're a visual person like me, to actually see what that's going to look like is really useful. It's, like I said, it's free and you can link through and schedule all your content through that as well. So these are some examples of Instagram posts I've done in recent weeks. This was our party back in September. Our building was closed for quite a few months, and I literally did a spattering of paint. I used an app called Procreate, which is on the iPad. If anyone's got an iPad, I highly recommend downloading that app. It is absolutely fantastic in terms of the creative things you can do. A lot of stuff there which bamboozles me. But the point of this was that the writing isn't designed to be super easy to read, because everything that's easy to read is actually in the captions below. This is designed for people to go, what's this saying? Because I want to slow people down. I want people to think about it, because the algorithm's going to say, oh, this is stuff of value, and therefore it's going to promote it to people that don't necessarily follow our page, but I want them to see it. Same again with student stuff. I told them the truth. The sun always shines in Sheffield, so I don't know whether it's doing here today, but in Sheffield, of course, it's gloriously sunny. These are videos from people who we put out a call to say, would anybody be up for sharing testimony of what God's done in your lives? And these guys all came forward. Chris, at the end there, he'd never done anything like that before, but he was so up for actually sharing what God had done in his life particularly. So we gathered these videos, just shot them around the city and shared the story of what God's been doing with them. And again, it got so much social traction beyond our community with their friends and stuff, just really keen to interact and just say how delighted they were to hear what's going on. This stuff is, if this is happening in your church, then that's absolutely brilliant. This is where people have actually organically posted, like, hey, I'm outside the well, check out this new church. It was Brian, the guy on the right, and the girls on the other side were sharing a story about what God's been doing with them. These guys are sharing stories on their own social media. Whenever that happens, just absolutely jump on it, like it, make sure you reach out to them, say, would you be happy for us to use this content on our social? These guys really were. It's such a great opportunity. So if ever anyone's talking positively about the church, then absolutely go for it. We did a nice little campaign around what's going on next year for you in terms of for students and all the students coming to the city. I was you in 2012. I was you in whatever year it was, giving tips for students around the city about best places to go for coffee, best places to find sports clubs, whatever it might be, giving people kind of just genuinely good, friendly advice, making sure that we're a church and we're here, guys. And by the way, our church is actually doing free pizzas for you on a Sunday if you're interested, tying it into all the Sheffield University Fresher hashtags in an effort to put that kind and loving message forward. Facebook. Just some top tips on here. Consider timing. I'm just considering my timing right now. Timing used to be a massive thing. So about 6 or 7 years ago, Asda particularly were really quite amusing because they'd often stick out loads of posts around 3:30, 3:45, which is when parents tend to be outside school, and that's when they put the offers on for breads and milk and stuff like that. It's not such a big thing now. Social's really about the content you're going to create. At the same time, spending time to look into your analytics on your Facebook page or whatever platforms other platforms you might be using, little window and indicator to see when people are more active. In our particular context, Thursdays and Mondays tend to be really busy days. Saturdays are pretty much non-existent, so I avoid posting content then for that very reason. So just looking when your people are most active, try and post a couple of hours before that, so the post has actually got time to reach more and more people rather than sticking out into the thick of it. Make it visual and tell stories wherever possible. Use native video. So Facebook doesn't like it when you actually leave Facebook. So if you can avoid sticking a YouTube link or a Vimeo link or whatever, that's really good for you. So actually upload your video directly and natively within Facebook, and Facebook will prioritize that in the algorithm. Don't cross-pollinate. There used to be a thing a couple of years ago particularly as well where people would basically have it go into Facebook and then automatically the same content go to lots of other platforms. Those other platforms don't like that, and actually, regardless of that, we have to understand that people often have a kind of one or two social media platforms that they really prefer over others. And people will actually see through stuff when it's written in a particular way, or the use of hashtags in Facebook and things like that. So actually trying to make sure that it's actually specifically designed for that platform is really important. Engaging with others, when people like, when people comment, just seize every opportunity to love well and engage with people when they do. And maintaining the brand. As part of the broader comm strategy and stuff and the vision, I would say that there's a tone of voice to which you need to work out. What is it and how you're saying those things? With the well stuff, I try to avoid any Christianese wherever possible. Our outward-facing communications is designed to be easily understood by people who actually aren't attending our church. So we're not ashamed at all to use the name of Jesus, but we just want to make sure that then people don't have a barrier to actually coming into the church because they don't understand what certain things are. Even things like baptisms, for example. I know I had that post on before. We're really clear to try and explain what that was in the posts. Twitter. We use Twitter as part of our initial comms strategy with pretty good success, and that was actually to tweet all the businesses in our locality to let them know that we're a new church, we're opening, we're here for you. If you want to come in and find some respite on your lunch break, this is what we're here for. And it really served a good job for that, and we had a lot of interaction, particularly messages off the back of that. For us now as a church, in terms of our comms strategy, it's actually not got so much value going forward. We've planted the seed, we've created personal relationships by then actually taking the cards around and things. People will know we're there. So this is where it comes down to actually investing your time and choosing where to put your energy. Twitter for us isn't that place, but that's not to say it's not right for you. This is asking who are your audience again and how best can you interact with them. With Twitter, I would say that ideally, if you know how to use the platform well, then absolutely go for it because you've got that insider knowledge. I'm personally not a Twitter expert by any standard. Understanding the platforms you're using is really advantageous. And if you're not an expert in an area, but you feel like the best way to reach your audiences are using that particular platform, again, put out the call to your church. Is there anybody here that's familiar with this or know someone who is, so that we can actually bring some of their expertise into the equation? Share value and not noise. Coming back to that core thing about content, this is true across any platform that we're using. We really want to make sure that that content is of value to people. People don't want to have their feeds full of stuff which is just of no interest to them. Try and share stuff which is going to be just really authentic. YouTube, pretty much the second biggest search engine there is in the world. People are searching for stuff on there all the time. Saw a really good vlog a few weeks ago about embracing any young people you have in your church. Young people love YouTube. Actually saying there's an opportunity to give them a sense of ownership with this. You know, what would you do if you had the church's YouTube channel? What type of things would you be talking about? How would you use this to reach your friends? It's a great, actually, Sunday school youth project that you could do. Again, creating content of value. What type of things can be really good in that respect? Short videos, little thoughts around key scriptures, or even if you've got people in leadership that are willing to talk on it, what's actually going on in the world right now. If you've got opportunities to use, to actually draw on that, use that on the platform. Often people don't use hashtags within YouTube. That's really important to do, and actually not only individual words, but actual phrases. You know, stick in there. If you're doing a talk about the Trinity, for example, actually why not stick in loads of spend time thinking what hashtags might be appropriate. Who is Jesus? How best can I reach people? Use what you have, and using what you have is something which is, I think sometimes we can feel like, oh, I can't actually do this because I've not got the ability to do so. Most people in this room have probably got a smartphone in their pocket or are actually using it right now. It's actually, generally, I find it incredible to think about 15 years ago, if we'd been told the power of what we'd have in our phone, the cinematic possibilities that we can actually have by drawing out this little device and creating things. We have these great products. Use what you have and start from there. If you've got great expensive cameras, then by all means use them as well. But don't be intimidated. Just use what you have. Start using it to communicate. This is an easy rig that I use for most of our church promo videos. It's just a DJI Osmo gimbal, which basically just levels off the phone, so it's really smooth. You can do nice transitions with that. That's about £100, which I understand is a lot of money for some people, but that's an investment if you want to take it to the next level, and you can just plug a mic in as well. So, other platforms you might be looking at considering as part of your strategy. Now, everyone's probably going to go, why on earth would you use LinkedIn as part of your church communication strategy? Good question. However, if your church is right in the heart of a busy city, and actually it's surrounded by professional businesses, banks, insurance companies, or whatever, actually LinkedIn might be the perfect place to create a group and let people know that there's an opportunity for people to come and find rest and what your church is doing to serve those people. So you can use paid advertisement in that space as well, whatever it might be. But don't just make sure you have an open mind when you're considering which directions to go in. Pinterest is a great opportunity, particularly with people that are using design platforms to share what God's done. There's a lot of great Christian design content out there which you can harness and you can share with people. And there's emerging platforms like TikTok. And this comes back to the comment I made earlier about social media and its lifespan. Facebook has reached maturity. Instagram's reaching maturity. New platforms will emerge. As the kids are coming through, there's going to be brand new stuff which in a few years' time we'll look back and go, oh my goodness, what was life like before that? Just like we are about Facebook these days. That will happen, in my opinion, and we have to be aware of actually when's best to actually move into those areas. And that comes back to our original question of knowing your audience. Where are they? So what are the right social networks for your audience? Print, just a quickie on this one. Again, less is more. You want to create opportunities for when you're using print things as part of that strategy, but when people pick up stuff, we don't want to lose them in the small print. We need really clear, quick messages that people can pick up. This, for me, is a great example of a Connect card, which is just a name, email, and phone. And it actually then puts the onus on you as a church to have the opportunity to make sure you reach out and give that person a really warm welcome if it was their first time on Sunday. There's so many different areas we can do. Again, as I mentioned before, about people going past your building. How can you actually use your location and things going on around you to reach them? At CPO, we do a whole host of different printing services, both off-the-shelf things and also designs that you might have done yourselves. So whether it's from a toilet to an A-frame board outside, whether it's full vinyl boards to sit right outside the church for special events, thinking about when's the right time to actually invest in those things, and strategically in terms of your church, where's best to put them. I'm going to skip through this stuff. If you want to make a note of this, there's a blog called Pro Church Tools. It's run by a Canadian guy called Brady Shearer. There's loads of great content on there about different things you can do. And this is just from a blog about good photography, making sure you bring the people into the center, for example, to help bring those stories to life. We've not got time to go into that right now, but that's something I'd recommend you do. Now, who has heard of Bible Lens app out of interest? Yeah, cool. This is a bit of fun. I actually discovered this at a dinner party and spent the night falling about laughing. Basically, it's an app that's put out by the same people that create a really good Bible app. I think it's Bible Gateway. And the Bible Lens app uses AI, artificial intelligence, to take the picture, screen it, and then add scripture to it. And it's pretty uncanny. So this is me with one of my little boys. Because the Lord disciplines you, he loves, as a father, the son he delights in. And it's quite funny because you can push it forward. So the post that's the most liked post now on Instagram, Jennifer Aniston put it forwards, and this is no joke, this is what happened. I put the picture in, dear friends, let us love one another, and you've got the cast of Friends. Her Majesty, have I not commanded you? I felt that was quite apt for the Queen. And not making any political assumptions here by any means, but our good leader, bear with each other and forgive one another. If any of you have a grievance against someone, forgive as the Lord forgave you. This is AI working its very best. So it literally just pulls pictures out of your photo stream. So it's good fun on the train or whatever tonight as you're looking at it. Now, I know a lot of people like to put out scripture in their social media and things, and there is a time and a place for that. There is ways to share scripture well. In some cases, that might create a ruffle, shall we say. But this is a great app, actually, if you're on the fly and you want to create something and have a bit of a giggle at the same time. Now, in terms of all your communications or what you're doing, I just want to really emphasize the key thing as you leave here today, if you're going to do anything about your comm strategy, is considering who is your audience. Now, for the well, we don't actually have a written strategy. And I'm not going to tell you today that you need to spend hours actually drafting out and having a hard written, here is our strategy and here's what we're going with. What I would advise is that you're marrying up that thing of the audience and the church vision and stepping into it under the understanding with your leadership team and other people within the church what your responsibility is in delivering that. If a written strategy works for you and that's something that is actually really beneficial to you achieving that, then go for it. It's what's right for you in your context. For us, it's constantly kind of evolving, and our team actually are on things, a very small, close-knit group, so we're just getting heads down and just cracking on with this. In terms of design stuff, one thing that I wanted to raise today is I've been working pretty intensely the last couple of days to get this ready. A new product for the church called Church Comms Create. And this is designed to be a platform for anybody who's actually not got that many creative skills, and even those that have, to actually be able to create graphics that they can then implement very easily in their church. At CPO, we do a whole host of off-the-shelf designs. The beauty of this platform is there's going to be loads of templates from our existing designs that you'll be able to draw on and customize to your heart's content. And there's also the absolute blank sheet, so you can start from the very scratch up. You can render out in multiple sizes, so as you create your image, you can then crop it and render out as a Facebook banner, an Instagram story, a post, or whatever you want it to be. It's fully integrated with Unsplash. Who here has not heard of Unsplash? Okay, hardly any of you. Great, cool. I won't go into that. So there's 800,000 photos you can choose from. About 45 of mine if you want pictures of the Cornish coast as well. This is just showing you the interface as well. It's just designed to be really easy, really simple, so you can just get things done. It's going to be fully integrated into our print system in the fullness of time as well. But for the time being, you can render out and print things. When you print things with CPO as well, we are a charity serving the church. You're investing into the kingdom when you do so. That allows us to be able to continue to provide great resources to the church. Also, just to say, it links into Buffer and maybe other social scheduling tools in the future, natively to Facebook. So finally, coming into land, checklist. Establish your audience and determine your methodology for what you're going to be doing. Apply your church vision to that and be sure of your roles and expectations. Ensure you're using the right social channels and don't be afraid to mix it up. Be cool just to let things go when you need to and step into the next social network as you see appropriate to your audience. Check your website is fulfilling its duty and stay on top of it, and wherever possible, plan in advance. Lastly, pray. It's really important you pray into this and pray into that. I'll go back to the screen at the end so you can capture it at the end. In fact, there you go, guys. For those that need it, there's the checklist. This will be shared on the CPO's social media as well, so if you follow CPO on Facebook or Twitter or anything else like that, we'll make sure that this is put up there as a quick checklist. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of what I had to say. Bless all of you. Thank you for doing what you do for the kingdom, and thank you for listening to me. I really appreciate it. If you want to join the Church Comms Collective, that's a great place to continue any dialogue as well that you might have. Bless you and enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Thanks, guys.